I'm sitting here with my dear friend, Matey Rose. This is a very impromptu and special occasion. We both happen to be out at the Oregon coast. I'm out here doing some personal writing for my new book, and Matey's here with a group of
other artists, and we're just
a bunch of awesome
retreating.
Ladies. So I was hanging out with them last night and said, "Hey, Matey, why don't you come over and we'll do a couch chat, not on an actual couch, but we're making do with what we have. We don't have all my fancy equipment out here at the coast, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to just talk with you because Matey lives in the Bay Area, and I don't get to see you very much."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, we were around the campfire last night, and we wanted to just literally press record then.
Yeah, exactly. Lighting was not good, but anyways, Matey's a fellow painter and workshop teacher and illustrator, and we do a lot of the same things. Yep. And that's actually what we're talking about here. What we want to dive into a bit is just this idea of collaboration and artists supporting artists. And you have just always been so supportive and free with your sharing of your wisdom, and just there's never any sense of competition, even though we were literally writing our books at the same time.
Exactly.
With the same publishing company.
The same editor.
It's kind of how we bonded, actually. Yeah. And your book is called
Daring Adventures in Paint.
Daring Adventures in Paint, Brave Intuitive Painting. Obviously, we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
But I just love that it's we're just all for the greater good of everybody, and I really sensed that last night. We were sitting around the campfire, like you said, with a group of 7 or 8 really accomplished, really amazing women artists. I mean, everybody in their own right, rocking out their business and their art, and it was just this free, open forum of sharing, and people being like, "Oh, you know what you should try to make that easier, and let me share my experience with you." And it's just, I was just sitting back, loving that is how we do it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying this a second ago, but we pave the way for one another, and it's just, I've experienced it so much generosity in my own life. And so to put that forth for others, it's easy.
It is easy. And I don't know, I find the more I share, actually the more that returns to me. It's this and it's not why I share, but it is one of the lovely benefits to being open and generous, and having those be really core values, is that it just comes back around. Yeah. And I just think, I don't know, I think the fact that we're all women and we're sort of, it's a new paradigm that we're working with. We all have online businesses. We're all self-employed.
Right.
And we're all making a decent living doing what we love.
Yeah. And
it's so cool.
Our audience definitely overlaps and does not feel, I feel like there's just enough to go around.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. And I think one thing that I was really thinking about last night is how every one of us really does our own thing well. It's sure, there's crossover. Sure, we both layer with acrylic paint and we use bright colors, and some of our imagery might be similar here and there. But it's your Matey Rose art and Flora Bowley art are so, you're not going to confuse them.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's to be able to do these things in our own ways, I think that is actually what opens the door to the sharing and the openness and the generosity.
Yeah.
I
know last night we've been working on these collaborative paintings, and it has been so cool to see, you can see bits and pieces of everyone.
Totally.
But how it's a perfect metaphor, how they all coexist in this beautiful way.
Do. Yeah, so you had these how 7 or 8 paintings, yay big, and just this huge amazing table of art supplies, so fun, and everybody was just
making their mark, and at some point, there were some people who were like doing it at the same time and scribbling over and sort of challenging each other, like,
that's awesome.
I'm gonna cover over this precious part.
And you know I love that.
Yeah, I know. It's your jam.
It's my jam. But it's like the level of creative confidence.
Yes.
And like trust in the process around that table.
Yeah.
Was, I mean,
well, this morning
amazing.
I woke up. So last night there were tons of flowers and within the paintings. And this morning I woke up and there were whales everywhere in the paintings. And I was like, how? This is so amazing. Overnight. It's like
whales were born. Whales, whales and flowers together forever.
Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we also just wanted to talk about, we've both done a lot of collaborations in different projects.
We have. Yeah. We have. And I just saw that you're doing like a clothing collaboration.
Yeah. Well, and then to think about too, that illustration is a collaboration, right? Like, or licensing is a collaboration.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That you're bringing this. I just did a dress line with this company, Vita, and it's a really amazing project. Yeah. They print their dresses on silk in Pakistan, and some of the profits go to the schools there. And
awesome.
So yeah, it's cool. So it's which is neat too. So I did abstract paintings, which felt like not at all commercial to me. They were just like, I just feel like doing this.
Yeah.
It's a release, because a lot of my work is more narrative and, like elephants or girls, recognizable things.
Yeah.
And so with this collaboration, the company contacted me and I sent them a bunch of work and was really surprised that that's what they wanted to use. It makes sense. It's on clothing.
Yeah.
But to see that, if I had done that, if I'd been like, I want to do a dress line on my own, it wouldn't have been that thing. It was like...
Exactly. And that...
It makes it better.
It makes it better. It's so true. And that's, we, like, collaborative painting, I've done in a variety of different ways, and I've brought that into my workshops. And I always just say, it's like, when you are willing to collaborate, yes, you're letting go of some control, right? And it's not just you, but what you're, like, the price that's the price you pay. It's, what you get is so much new inspiration and someone else's whole life of knowledge on whatever it is you're collaborating with,
Absolutely.
It's like, if it's with another painter, you get their sense of color, their tools, their imagery, their shapes, their approach. And then, with clothing, obviously, those clothing makers know a lot more about that than you do.
Yeah, and it can be scary, like that letting go of control.
Yeah.
But I think, ultimately, it's, I don't know, you just learn so much in the process, too. About,
it's so
like,
worth it.
Yeah, and what to not give up control on, too. Like, there's I don't know, what to take back control. It's such a metaphor for life,
It is, and it actually requires deep listening and communication. It's like, I paint a lot with my friend Lynx, and we have these kind of just rules around, if there's a part of the painting that you don't want me to cover up, you need to tell me that. Yeah. Just tell me that. And then it's like, oh, totally. Like, I will not cover that, but if, sorry, there's a loud truck going by. But, if it opens the door for clear communication.
Yes.
And not to communicate in a way where there's like, did she really mean that she doesn't like what I'm doing? Or, it's like, none of that exists, when you're in a partnership of collaboration, when there's just open, honest, clear communication. It's such a great opportunity, actually.
Seriously. Yeah, to speak up and use your voice. Yeah. And it can be really playful, too. Like,
totally.
Yesterday, there was a piece that Pam Garrison had taken the lead on, and it was lots of flowers. And I was like, it's done, you could put it aside. We don't have to work on it. And, which is counter to how I usually think. But she was just like, meh, like defiantly painting over it. Like, no, let's keep going. Like, this is just a moment.
It's just a moment, yeah, and it's like actually the point of like guess what you're doing, and what I often do. It's not about the finished product even. I mean, it's like so much about the journey of discovery along the way. It's
Absolutely. And
It's
yet
so
you
good.
could see like bits of the flowers sticking out,
Exactly.
and it just it added to the overall thing.
Made it that much more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you were to paint it all over white or black, it's like it's okay.
It's all good. Oh, that's such a great thing to remember, and you know, something that people hit in my process a lot is that like fear around letting go of something that they like, you know, even if they don't necessarily love it.
Right.
They're like, I like it, and I'm not sure I can actually do anything better than that, so I don't want to mess with it. And then what that does is like instantly build a cage around you.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, now what are you going to do if you're holding on so tightly to something?
And that's such a good, like you're saying, listening, like honing into that muscle of like, I like it, but what would it take to really love it and really feel that? And that extends to, you know, our relationships with, you know, lovers and things like that. It's like, oh, okay, like.
And like knowing sometimes it has to get worse before it gets better. Mm-hmm. You know, like if you're sort of like, I mean, even like in a relationship, you know, you're with someone, it's like, oh, and you know, maybe whatever has to happen that's not easy and pleasant, it's like the work has to happen in order to take it to that next level of evolution.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more this is what I love about the creative process, one of the things, is that it gives us the opportunity to practice all those things that can feel really hard when it's actually happening in your life.
Yeah.
But in a way that's like, it's just paint.
Yeah.
Like, who really cares?
I love in your painting classes, because I've taken a few in Mexico. That was such a gift. But how you say commit, you know, like if you're doing triangles, and, you know, that's like the dominant thing in this corner. Like, what about if you just committed to those triangles and covered it all over the entire canvas?
Like, go big.
Go big or go home. Yeah. Like, just, what's the...
And my thing that lately I've been saying all the time is make strong commitments. So what you were just talking about, while simultaneously staying open to change.
Yeah.
And that's the magic.
Well, and I took that class. That was a few years ago. That was maybe even 4. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah,
at least
3.
Yeah.
And so you've probably transformed in your process too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, exactly. What you're
preaching.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm
always an evolution, I hope.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Have you you've collaborated as a teacher also, right? Or like within a retreat where there are other teachers teaching.
Yeah, and I'm actually getting ready to do a true teacher collaboration, which I've never totally done, where we're like kind of teaching the same class with Orle Avenieri. I don't know if you know Orle. She's an amazing visual art journaler. And it's like we have our art looks really different, even in format. She works in books, I work on big canvases, but our philosophy is just like totally lined up. And so we were, you know, we have been given the opportunity to teach collaboratively, and I have no idea what we're going to do. But that's perfect. You know, it's just like starting a painting. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but you just, I trust that our combined experience and wisdom will actually birth something totally new.
Yeah.
That I'm really excited about.
It's like improv, right?
It's
like
totally
you're
improv.
You're getting on stage and you're like, okay. Like, this story has been presented to me, and I'm going to run with it.
Exactly.
And it could never be the same at any other point. Right?
Oh, I love it. And that is just such good practice for life. I mean, that's the goods right there.
It
we
is.
should teach together sometime.
I would love that.
The seed has been planted.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, like, lately I've been collaborating with my fellow artist, Faith Evansills, and it's been so easy. You know, and like, I don't know if that's not always, like, if it wasn't easy, I don't think I wouldn't pull out, but it's also just like, let it be easy too.
Oh,
like if someone has like a similar approach, but like balances you, like she's really good with the details and sort of charting out the year. Whereas, you know, she has 3 children. I don't, so I can bring it
to be that way.
I can bring it the night before and just be like, okay. But and I really value that.
Well, I think it's totally an important thing to notice. Like, is there ease here? Because we're not actually meant to collaborate with everybody.
That is true.
You know, there has to be a magic connection and ultimately an ease and grace.
Yeah.
You know?
If it wasn't...
Why bother?
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
I mean, there might be some lessons in there, but
sure.
If, 95% of it didn't feel...
So do it once and then don't do it again. No, I love that you mentioned that because it's true.
Well, and it's true for illustration too. I've had experiences where, from the get-go, I've been working with the art director and it's just been like intuitively, I've been like, this doesn't feel good. And it's a really exciting project and I just, I committed to it in a contract and it's been those lessons of like, wow, I really should have just followed my intuition because every single time
it's hard.
Yeah.
Something has, listening to your body.
Exactly.
I always am just like, okay, here's an opportunity. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to try not to think about it. I'm going to try to just feel like, what does my body feel about this?
Do you ever do that thing? Our friend Andrea Shear always does like a body check where she asks a question and if it's a yes, you fall forward and if it's a no,
I love that.
You go backwards and it totally works.
I love that. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
You can too.
You can too. It's, it's powerful.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for, this is so, we'll just probably riff on and on, but thank you for being here and being willing to share your wisdom with my people out there, and I hope it was inspiring, and I hope that some really fun new collaborations are born from this month's theme. So
I know, and that's the thing too. It's like you can just reach out to someone that you feel called to and email them and say, hey.
They would probably love it. Yeah. Thank you, honey.
Yeah. Thank you.